So what she can do is say, well, you know what, if you marry again, then I should be able to ask for a divorce, or, you know, tell me first about it, or make sure that we discuss these things. But when it all comes down to it, it's still his decision. Assalamu alaikum. Peace is Coach Nyla, one of the co-founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships, as well as one of the authors of the book, Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored. All right, so in this video, I have my daughter with me, well, my daughter. And the interesting thing, we're going to discuss in this video the perils of polygyny, or am I teaching her or teaching her about the practice of polygyny and the perils that can come in it. So yes, this was inspired by a number of comments that we've gotten just throughout the years. So it's not something that is just frequent, but we've gotten this comment over and over again. And one recent comment stated that, do we teach our girls that, or we should be teaching our girls that they can put in their marriage contract that they don't have to, that they don't want polygyny, so to speak. That's the long and the short of it. So we're going to get into that a little bit in here. One of the things is that my daughter knows that, right? But here's the thing, regardless of if that's what you put in your marriage contract, and she knows this as well, because we don't just teach them to avoid polygyny altogether. We teach them about what polygyny is, that it's another form of marriage. We teach the ups and downs that can come within polygyny, as well as with marriage, period, because what polygyny is another form of marriage. But there are different dynamics because now there is another wife. Now, my daughter is one that she wants to be in a polygynous marriage.
Yes, I agreed. Yes, I do.
She has never been in a relationship, never been married, and none of these things. However, she states that, you know what, I do. I want to, I don't have a problem with practicing polygyny. I want to practice polygyny. So give a little insight on that and pretty much how, that came about with you. Like, what made you say, you know what, I'll do polygyny. When I get married, I wouldn't have an issue with polygyny, or I would rather be in a polygynous marriage.
I feel like just watching your channel and watching you guys, navigate through life and how connected you guys are, I would love to have a co-wife to, hang out with and things like that. It makes me feel more connected as being, I have bonus sisters. I have a lot of brothers. So, being connected to, more feminine energy is a really, really, really good thing. And I feel like, I have some time to, chill. I can have some time. And I feel like we can definitely, work together with certain things, talk it out, Mm-hmm. So I really do want it. And, seeing you guys, y'all inspire me to, to want it. So it's really good.
So that's interesting too, because now, mind you, I was monogamously married to your dad.
Yes.
However, you were a baby when we divorced.
I was very young.
So when it comes down to it, is that, the majority of your life so far, whatever you pretty much experienced being in a polygynous family.
Yeah, from a very young age. So,
however, your grandmother and your great grandma, They're not polygynous.
Exactly.
Right? So it's not that she doesn't know what monogamy looks like. Like she only knows polygyny. She's seen different marriages, whether it was, marriage and polygyny, which is ours, or a marriage or marriages that were monogamous or that are monogamous. My mom, her marriage had ended after 20 plus years in divorce. So we see different things. And even in my grandmother's marriage, not to just be putting so much stuff out there, but even with the marriage with my grandmother and her husband, they've been married for, oh my gosh, a long time, since I was like a teenager. However, when it comes down to it, they're not as connected in their marriage that you would think that monogamously married people should be connected. And I'm not saying anything against monogamy, because our whole thing is being pro-morals. So, if you're married in monogamy or you're married in polygyny, we are of the mindset that you should be practicing marriage in a moral fashion. That means no cheating, no homosexuality, those different things like that. However, if you look at certain things and knowing that over half of all marriages end in divorce anyway, or half of all monogamously married people, or half of all monogamous marriages, let me get that straight, end in divorce, because that's the stats that are out there, then that when it all comes down to it, it's not necessarily the form of marriage, so to speak. However, the I guess influences that have been around you've been around married people. But when it comes down to it, what has been the most successful marriage that you've seen in your...
Yeah, probably polygyny. Yeah, definitely polygyny. Still going strong.
So that's the thing. It's like, not to toot our own horns, but beep beep. When it all comes down to it, it's knowing how to navigate through it. So it's not about teaching her that you can put this in your contract. It's more along the lines of teaching her how to navigate challenges in her marriage, or being able to embrace her femininity as a wife, being able to choose, a leader, for her family, her potential family, and, and be that much attractive to this leader, as well as her attracting a leader, but as well as being attractive to a leader. Exactly. I think that's the same thing. Yeah. While also making sure that he's attractive as a leader. There we go. That's what I was looking at. I was like, that's the same thing. So it's teaching these things. So let's go into that a little bit more. What have you learned? And we're going to do another video where I just ask her some questions. But one of the questions, what I'm going to ask her in this video is, what have you learned, whether it's by me teaching you or us teaching you directly or indirectly, by what you've experienced in growing up in a polygynous marriage or a polygynous family, I should say?
The huge part in like the polygynous, marriage is the communication. There's a lot of good communication and talking it out, even if one feels jealous or one feels, not so connected to one another. It's being able to, communicate, how you're feeling as well. And also the femininity that you've been teaching me, I love that. So even watching Fatimah, Coach Fatimah, watching her videos is just, it's a beauty to see, it's enjoyable to watch. So, watching, those are my parents, and like, oh my gosh, it's like having that excitement to watch them and watch their videos. Cause I do watch their videos, I do watch them. So whether it's together or by myself, so.
Yeah, I think that's another thing too. Just the connection that my daughter has with my co-wife, with Coach Fatimah, is a beautiful thing. I remember when we were traveling They went on an outing together. They did a number of outings together. And even when it comes to my daughter and, my bonus daughters, they've cooked together. One of my bonus daughters had asked her for some baking tips and things like that. And just to be able to see that growth and that connection and that togetherness, that it really dispels the myths that are put out there. But because we don't, I wanted to do something different. And we've done it on occasion where we'll bring our children on and ask them a few things, or, put them kind of like on the spotlight of, what it feels like, or what have they experienced growing up in a polygynous family. Because our children have different experiences, not just because they're just different people, but because they really have different experiences. Because our youngest children, they that's all they know is polygyny, because they were born in polygyny. My daughter, she comes from me being a single mom for several years before I married again. My son, my oldest, the same thing, came from, me being a single mom for several years before I married. And I was a single mom. And then I married, and then my daughter was born, and then a divorce, and I became a single mom again. So just these different things and these different dynamics that has happened and that they have experienced. They have different experiences. And I talk to my children consistently on their different experiences, because yes, they've seen, some of them have seen their mom, or two of them have seen their mom, go from being married and being, a single parent and being raised in a single parent household for a little bit. And they still was able to get the love and support from me in that single parent household. So that's the thing too, because I wanted to hit on this point where when people think that because you're a single parent, you have to take what you can get when it comes to marriage or anything else. I've heard people tell me, they were like, well, she didn't want the single mom life. And I understand that. However, she just had to take what she can get. The thing is that it's not about taking what I can get. Coach, now there is a catch. And hey, I don't think that I'm biased when I see different comments when it comes down to it. So I'm not scraping the bottom of the barrel, and that says a lot, that's so disrespectful to me, as well as to him, as well as to my co-wife, Coach Fatimah, that he's just, some, take what you can get type of guy. And, the children have been able to have an amazing leader, father figure in their lives. Not only, my children from, a previous marriage or previous relationship when I was much younger, and I was still an adult, but much younger. And before I was Muslim, they still was able to, my mental was to have a family dynamic where my children can see a positive role model, positive male role model, that leader, that protector, that provider. And that changed with their parents, their fathers over the years or over time. And I can honestly say, hey, well, during that time, I chose wrong. So when I want to teach my children, when I teach my daughter, is that know what you are looking into, know what it is that you actually want in the future, what you want your children to experience, what you want your family dynamic to look like before you, get married, before you, before you say, what, this is the commitment that I want to make. Know these things. So that's the thing that I teach. So it's not about teaching to put in this clause in her contract that her husband doesn't marry again, or that, and she can't do that anyway. Because when it all comes down to it, she can't tell him that he can't marry anybody else, because she's making something haram that's halal, and she cannot do that. So what she can do is say, well, you know what, if you marry again, then I should be able to ask for a divorce, or, tell me first about it, or make sure that we discuss these things. But when it all comes down to it, it's still his decision. And, to be able to be a wife that says, I understand that you can have multiple wives. I understand that men are polygynous by nature. I understand that I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to focus on, what I want for my marriage and my individual marriage, minding my marriage. We've taught that a number of times. And, what that looks like for me if he decides he wants to marry again, well, you say you want polygyny anyway.
Exactly.
So the thing is that he's either married already, or, he marries again. But you stated that you want to be the first wife.
Exactly. I want to be the first wife. There's a reason to that. I want to be able to kind of inspire other first wives too, because since I come from this polygynous family and my mother was the second wife or additional wife, that, just to inspire other people, because I know how that feels and I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I've seen, different videos on other channels about, oh, well, first wife this, second wife this. I do want to be the first wife. So,
as you said, inspire like how?
Inspire like that it's okay to be a first wife and not kind of take that, what's the word I'm looking for? Like stereotype of, the first wife being mean to the second wife or the additional wife, or being, be like, oh, well, that's his wife, or, oh, this is my children, those are his children, that's her children. Kind of cutting off, or
like dispelling.
Dispelling that. So being the first wife, I think I can definitely, bring in like my co-wife and saying that it's okay, instead of like her seeing other things like out there, other videos, like, okay, I'm scared to, ask this man if I can marry, because I'm afraid that the first wife's gonna have like a problem, or it's kind of like tiptoe. I don't want to tiptoe on anyone's, shoes or anything. So that's another reason why I do want to be the first wife. So, yes.
So yeah, she told that. So I definitely wanted her to explain that in her own words, because I stated it before. I said if in a perfect world in my mind, said I would not have had an issue with being a first wife, and I would actually have rather been a first wife than an additional wife, because of the same reasons that my daughter talk about, being able to show that, there's this care and concern, and that, we can be a happy family, we can be a productive family, we can grow together, that I'm not going to let my insecurities take over, or I'm not going to think that you are trying to encroach on anything, but, I'll still be well aware of what's going on. So to make sure that I'm not, getting sideswiped by anything. However, I also say I believe that it was meant for me to be an additional wife, by the qadr of Allah, and people don't know what that means. That means by, Allah's will, by, God's will, that this was meant for me, where I'm able to help initial wives as well as additional wives understand each in polygyny. I'm not just the additional wife coach. I'm not just an initial wife coach. I am a woman's coach, and I am a desirable wife coach. So when it all comes down to it, is how are you presenting yourself as a desirable wife in polygyny? So that's my thing, and how I teach my daughter about the perils of polygyny is how to be that desirable wife, so you can attract that desirable husband, because it goes both ways. And that desirable husband is that person for her that leads, that protects, that provides, and things as far as that. So she can be able to bask in her femininity and be that comforter, that nurturer that her family needs as well.
Yeah, I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job.
Yay. I'm Nyla. Hope you guys got some really good information from, this video. If you guys have not, make sure you check out our book, Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored. You can get that at letstalkpolygamy.com. And this goes into all of that, the stuff that we talk about, the stuff that what I just talked about with my daughter today. And we teach on a number of things, minding your marriage, the family dynamic and blending families and jealousies and all that other good stuff. So make sure you check out the book if you have not gotten it. Make sure you're following us on our social media channels. And if you like this video, it helps with the algorithm and it helps us put more of this content out to those who are looking for it, who need to hear it, who want to hear it. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. All right. So until next time, make sure you are growing intentionally,
loving fearlessly,
and connecting on a higher level every single day. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.